can only imagine what we were thinking and what India were thinking when Sachin got out. I opened the batting, got 14 off 29, something like that, and I finished the game because I threw the overthrows as well. But there was definitely this feeling of wanting to go up to those two guys and say that was pretty special. The game was it was a fascinating game because of the result, the way it played out. The numbers on the board were extraordinary, and of course, that was in a generation or a time, a period, 2002, where the game wasn't quite approached and played in the same way that it is now. So 325, I think, was what we got. I can assure you, when we were back in the dressing room at half time, tucking into some of the best food you can get at Lord's. I mean, by the way, that is just the best food. We were pretty happy with ourselves, thinking, well, the game's pretty much sewn up here. I know we're playing against a very good side with extremely good players, but in that sort of time, that era, if you've got 300, let alone 325, you thought you were, strong favourites. So, yeah, we were very, very confident. I mean, that was the game when Nasser scored his first, I think, in only 100 ODIs, and of course that was when he sort of pointed his back to the press comp, to the media, and saying, look, I should lead the side, all the sort of stuff that had gone on there. I opened with Marcus, and Marcus scored an absolutely brilliant, a sublime 100. I got 14, I think, or something like that, 15, and it was an absolute disappointment to get out, but what a pleasure to watch from the dressing room to see that innings. So that 200s to set things up for us, and as I say, we kind of felt, but then to add to that, I think Ganguly and Sehwag came out and smashed it in the first sort of few overs, and you started to think then, I spent most of my time either at slip or at deep point or deep square, somewhere like that, sort of covering for the boundaries. And felt like we didn't have a slip for long because they were smashing it all over the place. So I was at sort of deep point somewhere. And watching the game unfold, it was probably after 10 overs, you thought this might be quite a close game here because they've still got Dravid to come, still got Tendulkar, still got pretty damn good side here. And we didn't know much at that point. That's probably the most relevant. We didn't really know much about Yuvi and Mohammad Kaif. We knew they were good players, talented players, but I didn't, if I'm really honest with you, I didn't think at sort of 140 for 5 when Sachin got out, did I think that these two guys that we didn't know much about can haul the team up to 326? No, I didn't think that for a moment. And that's not being arrogant or stupid. That's just, the way that you think at that point. And then actually, as that sort of partnership began to unfold, you started thinking these guys are really good players. I don't care how much we haven't seen of them before, these guys are seriously good. And I think that really, once they got going, and Yuvi just smashing it leg side and smashing it over long on and smashing it down the ground. And Mohammad Kaif, what he did, and actually affected me a little bit at deep point, is you're at deep point and you're thinking to yourself, well, I've got to stop the boundary. That's at foremost, I've got to stop the boundary. But what Kaif was so good at was sort of hitting a half-length ball and making you think, well, I've got to come in to stop the 2s and 3s, because Kaif and Yuvi ran us ragged. They ran us ragged. As well as the boundaries, initially that partnership was borne out with 1s, 2s, 3s, and we were like edging at deep point. I'm edging ever closer because I'm thinking I can't give away another 2 here, and then by the time I've gone in 5 yards, it's whipped up back over my head for 6 or 4. It was brilliant, but it was one of the best partnerships that I can ever remember playing the game. That's simply put it that, with the game on the line, with what was at stake, and you can only imagine what we were thinking and what India were thinking when Sachin got out. Ashley Giles bowled him, I think, over the wicket and got him out. At 146, 145, 146 for 5, something like that. The whole crowd, well, those supporting England, all us players, and probably many of the Indian dressing room were thinking, geez, it's a long way for India to win this game. So for those two guys to play the innings they did and the partnership they did was quite extraordinary. And I can tell you for a fact, I started the game, I think I opened the batting, got 14 off 29, something like that, and I finished the game because I threw the overthrows as well. So I kind of didn't do much in between, but I started the game and finished it, and I ended up very, very disappointed. And I remember actually at the end of the game, because we go out onto the ground for the presentations, and I was just sitting there by the gates at Lord's, where you go up to the long room, and I just remember thinking, gosh, have I just played in that game? You kind of have mixed feelings, because you have huge admiration for what the opposition have just achieved from the position they were in, and also huge disappointment that you allowed that to happen. So there was sort of mixed feelings. I guess that's how it works. But there was definitely this feeling of wanting to go up to those two guys and say that was pretty special.